Alright, so this tutorial I'm gonna go over animating the opacity for slide out. Right, but before I do that, I need to backtrack a bit and explain a little bit about the when I had animated the position for the slide out. Right, you'll notice that I'd start off at 100% strength, right, a frame 10, and then it ends to 0% strength at frame 23, and then you notice that position at frame 10, right, because that's when we were gonna have this guy come in, right? There's a bit of a lag, right, to come in after the slide in, and then from here at frame 10 is when our other character comes in. But I put here at starting, right, frame 10 at 100%, because at 100% strength, it will take up 100% of the positional value of this guy. So if I were to say frame 10, right, 100%, if I were to dial this down, see, to 0, this brings it back to neutral position. Rather than listening to this, see right here, even though this is a negative, right, 1392 pixels towards my left, right, it's still being centered. It's being centered because the strength of it, right, that dictates how much of this value is being used, right, is at 0. But the moment I start to crank this up, see, now it's moving. Watch, see? Obviously it's moving, but blah, 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 to 100%. Now it's going to take up 100% of this positional value, which is this, blah, 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 right? Wait a minute. If I type in 0, right, you might just have noticed something. Let me pause the video for a moment. Alright, so I paused the video for a bit. I need to mention a small little quirk. It can mess with you. So I had undone what I just did, just to show. So we have your 100% strength. See, the moment I selected this, right, you notice how this is blue, this is blue. What I want to share is that when I screw with this, right, when I selected this start, and you see how I selected blue and blue, and then if I were to type in a number, let's say 50%, what's going to happen is that it's going to change this value and this value. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. That's why it does. That's the reason why it messes with you, because let's say 50%, right? If I go over here, yeah, see, it changed it. So that's what I want to share, right? Again, if I were to click here, right, and if you ever see blue and blue, you need to pause for a second and be a little bit extra careful, because like I said, chances are it's gonna screw with both of it, and you won't be aware of it until later. I've had this happen to other students, and it's a major headache when you have a lot of complicated stuff going on. So I need to mention that. Yeah. So just to be safe, you just want to click on one diamond, right? Like I said before, click on just one diamond. And this one, and if I put 100%, it's going to be over here because of the position. If I put 0% strength, it's going to stay here. to the default location regardless, even though my position is here, because of the strength of it, right? So those are the two things I need to get across, right? So again, I'm going to set this back to 100%, so it's going to move the hell out of the way to over here, right? Make sure you only have one diamond selected, crank it to 100%. Scrub it forward and then comes back. So this is at 0% strength, right? And I also put the position at 0. It just takes a little bit of time to get used to, but it's best for me to try to talk about it, right? So you just be able to deal with it later. Anyway, let's animate the stupid opacity. Again, select slide in, right? Go to the animate, choose opacity, click it. There's your animator one. Press enter. Go to the beginning, type in s.o animator. Type in opacity, right? Alright. Crack open range slider. I'm gonna set a start, and I'm gonna set over here, set another keyframe, but this time press the diamond over here. So second keyframe, and this is opacity, so I want to make it 100%. Ooh, see what I just happened? When I click that, it selected both of it. Gotta be careful. Make sure I know where I am on the timeline. Frame 23, start. This should, yeah, like I said, just take it as like the strength of it, right? Crank it to 100%. So starts off at 0, and then it's gonna boost to 100% strength regarding the opacity. Right. So next, well, before I say anything else, I made a mistake on purpose, right? Which I'm gonna let it go in order to show you another part of it that I need to do. Okay, so just be aware of that right now. I'm just saying it in advance. And so I did a start at 0 and then 100, right? 0 and then to 100, right? And you know, it makes sense, right? 0 opacity, 100% strength on the opacity, right? Then you think, you know, opacity, I'm at frame 10. You think, you know, set this to 0 because you don't want to see it, and you set and then you set a keyframe, 0% opacity, frame 10. And then you think over here, you know, why is this showing? Right? It still should be kind of a, anyway, whatever. I'm just gonna set this, I'm at frame freaking 23. Opacity, I'm gonna crank it back up to 100, right? So it looks okay. Press the space bar. Right. But what I want to do next is I want to go into my advanced. I'm going to crack that open for the opacity. And I'm going to set it to, instead of add, I'm going to set it to subtract. I'm going to close my advanced tab. Then let's see what it does. Alright, no big deal. I'm gonna pause the video. Alright, so I'm gonna play it one more time. Alright, 1 second. Alright, so I'm gonna show the what I previously mentioned about the mistake, right? Now, frame 10, right? The range selector start is at 0% strength, right? And then it leads up to 100% strength, right? The opacity as well starts off with 0% to 100%. If I press spacebar, right? No big deal. But what if at the start, at frame 10, where the action is going to take place, what if we set this to 100 strength at frame 10, and then this, so you can already see us fading in. It's faded. And then this one, set it to 0. So you get to see at least some of the opacity, you know? See here, 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 fading in. Again, opacity, start strength, 100%. Right, opacity at 0%. End, start strength, 0%, opacity at 100%. Okay, so that's that part. The other thing I want to mention is to experiment with a bit of offsetting the keys for opacity. So as you can barely see here, always annoys me, right? This and this. So it's this one and this one. What if I were to grab these, right? Ends at frame 23. I chuck it over, say 2 frames at 25, right? For this and this. Bop, bop. Okay. Then let's play it. It doesn't look like a big deal. Right. Crank it some more over here, maybe. Bring it back to 25. The other thing I did to this, right, may not look like it might do anything, but under advanced, right, for opacity, set it to characters excluding spaces, and it's just super subtle. Again, that's under opacity, advanced tab, characters excluding spaces. It just kind of messes with the timing of the opacity a bit. So if I play it again, doesn't look like a big deal. So that's opacity. Overall, like I said before, be careful, be mindful about if you notice 2 of the diamonds being selected, right? Make sure they only has 1 selected. Go to that timeline and then click it and then change it. So that's one of the major things. Yeah. So I think that's that for that one. And then after that, gonna add tracking. So I'm gonna go to my example file, this one right here, right? Well, it's gonna be the overshoot, right? And I'm gonna show how to add the motion blur, and I'm gonna show how to do to ease into it and to ease out of it, ease in and ease out, right? So that's gonna be the next videos. Yeah, so that's the end of that. Bye.